Good evening and welcome to Indiana University Cinema's virtual screening room. This introduction will feature live captioning. To turn on captions in Zoom, move your mouse to the toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click on Live Transcript, and then click Show Subtitle. If you have any issues, feel free to ask a question using the Q&A box, which you can reach by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Before we begin, Indiana University Cinema wishes to acknowledge and honor the Indigenous communities native to this region and recognize that Indiana University Bloomington is built on Indigenous homelands and resources. We recognize the Miami, Potawatomi, Delaware, and Shawnee people as past, present, and future caretakers of this land. We are dedicated to amplifying Indigenous voices and perspective, improving community relationships, correcting the narrative, and making the IUB campus a more supportive and inclusive place for Native and Indigenous students, faculty, and staff. My name is Jessica Davis-Tagg. I am the Events and Operations Director at IU Cinema. On behalf of the entire IU Cinema team, we'd like to thank you for being here for Double Exposure 2021. This annual program features the world premieres of new short films by IU student filmmakers and new scores created by IU student composers with sound design from IU student engineers. We want to thank all of our many partners for this event, including Chris Eller at the UITS Advanced Visualization Lab, Larry Groupé, Chandler Bridges, Conrad Strauss, David Zubay, and Jeremy Allen from the Jacobs School of Music, and Suzanne Schwibs, Joan Hawkins, and James Shanahan from the Media School. To introduce the program tonight, we are joined by some of the primary faculty who have helped make this event into a reality. Suzanne Schwibs, who mentors the filmmakers, Larry Groupé, who mentors the composers, and Joan Hawkins, film professor and writer. Please welcome Suzanne Schwibs.
Hello, I'd like to welcome you to our annual Double Exposure. It is actually a special year because it's the 10th time that we are doing this screening. And even though it is a virtual screening, we hope to be back live next year. I want to tell you that the films are wonderful and the scores are spectacular. And I want to add a note because those who know me know that I very much feel that films speak with the voice of music and poetry, even though we primarily think of them as a film as a storytelling medium. But I'm especially excited that this year the collaboration not only includes the Jacobs School of Music, but also the Bloomington Writers Guild, which is headed by Joan Hawkins. And so even though we're in these pandemic times, I think collaboration across country and into the town are doing well. And we're all really proud of that. This brings me to a few people that I'd like to acknowledge. First of all, my immediate collaborators, Larry Groupé, who mentors the composers, and Chandler Bridges, who mentors the sound design students. And then, of course, Joan Hawkins, who is heading the Bloomington Writers Guild, and whose poets provided some of the poetry on which the films are based. Last but not least, of course, credit goes to the IU Cinema, the wonderful people who do so much in support of student film. And that would be Brittany Friesner, the director, Jessica Tagg, Elena Gracia, and Seth Muchler, who all work behind the scenes to make this happen. And of course, we owe a great amount of thanks to John Vickers, whose idea Double Exposure really was, who started this 10 years ago. So thank you, John. And now I believe I've said more than enough. We want to see the films, but before we see the films, you get to hear from Larry Groupé.
Thank you, Suzanne. I am also excited at our 10th year of Double Exposure, which has changed so much over the years and has gotten more expansive and involved. I immediately want to go back to Chandler Bridges at the audio department here at Jacobs for all the work that is now involved in audio. Their students start from the very first day of the shoot with help on location sound and ADR and Foley and sound effects, and of course all the way through the music recording and its final mix. So there's a lot going on from the audio side now in these projects. Additionally, I'd like to thank my colleague in the scoring department, Steve Thomas, who helped put together all the music editing requirements for delivery to Chandler and his crew in order to prepare for these for the 12 scores of our 12 films. Let me also say that these films run about 3.5 to 4 minutes each. So the fact that there's 12, I don't want it to alarm you. So they're relatively tight and short films, but they're really enjoyable and of course very, very different. So I will leave my thanks there and pass it over to Joan to talk about poetry. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Double Exposure. I'm Joan Hawkins. I'm an associate professor in cinema and media studies at the Media School, and I'm also the chair of the Writers Guild at Bloomington, which is a community organization that supports writers and fosters interaction among writers and between writers and other artists, and also fosters and promotes spoken word performance. We have about 350 members. Most of us are published poets, published writers with prose and poets, prose writers and poets. Most of us are published, but we welcome writers of all ages and at all stages of their career. And if you are a writer and would like more information, please check out our website, which is writersguildbloomington, all one word.com. We've been operating for about 11 years, so about as long as Double Exposure has been in operation. And we're really thrilled this year to be participating with Suzanne and Larry in Double Exposure. It's a series that's near and dear to my heart as a member of the Media School. Our writers, our writers provided about 13 poems, and the students chose which ones they wish to use for their films. And so it's a wide array of styles and content, and I think that you will find this very interesting and very enjoyable. And as I said, we're delighted to have been part of this collaboration. And with that, I will turn it back to Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you to all three of you for the beautiful introductions. Please note that the films in this program are unrated and may contain mature or even explicit content. Thank you all for joining us. Be well, be kind to yourselves and others, and have a great night.